Today I want to read a poem of mine called Moab. I wrote this last July when I was in Moab, actually. I went down for a road trip, just a solo road trip down to Canyonlands, Island in the Sky, and just some other areas outside of the park that I like to hike. And one night I was in Canyonlands and I went to watch the sunset at People Dome. And I was the only one there. It was dead silence. I could hear the wind rustle my shirt, and I could just hear it brush past my ears on occasion. I could hear a raven. I remember that, but otherwise there was no sound whatsoever, and I was the only one there. And it was, I think, sunset after 8 o'clock, so it was in the 8 o'clock hour, and I was watching the sunset there by myself in that complete silence, very peaceful. And just, as the sun is setting, it gets to that point where it's just about to go below the horizon, and all the light seems to gather in a point, and then just it's gone, and the sun sets below the horizon. And what was so amazing to me is just at that point, I thought I was all by myself. I heard off in the west, the northwest, a little bit in the canyons, I heard this exultant cry from somebody as the sun set, like a wahoo or something like that. I remember that, and I paused, and not that I had anything necessarily to pause other than watching the sunset, but I remember just thinking, how fabulous is this? This setting of the sun in such a spectacular location just brings people. I didn't see this person, I have no idea who it was, but I heard that exultant cry. I was not alone. I was here. People had come to this same general area as I did to watch the sunset. And that was a special moment for me. And as I was driving back to my campsite, I wrote the first words of this poem. And so again, this poem is called Moab. It reads, "This land, wounded, scarred, and full of shadows. She turns his face to her to see, and he sees her stillness and her beauty, and he understands what can be." The reason that came into my mind is I thought, as I was thinking about the land, if you've been to Moab, and especially like Canyonlands, when you get to Island in the Sky and you look down the White Rim Trail, it looks like the land is just scarred. It's been wounded. The erosion, the wind, the water, tectonic movement, I guess, whatever. I'm not a geologist, I don't know. But it's been wounded, and you can see it as if there's scars in the land. And because of all those canyons and all those buttes and plateaus, there's shadows everywhere. And as I thought about that, I just thought, that's a beautiful thing. The reason people come to Moab is because of its wounds, its scars, and its shadows. That's why people come to Moab. And I thought about myself, and I thought about anybody that I know, all of you listening. We all are wounded. We all have scars, and we all have shadows. And it's those wounds and scars and shadows that make us beautiful. That's what draws us to each other, just like me and this anonymous person in the canyon northwest of me were drawn to the beauties of Canyonlands and to the sunset, was because of the wounds and the scars and the shadows of this land. And I thought about that, and I just thought, that is the beauty of us. We all have these unique characteristics that develop. Now, obviously, those wounds and scars, they make things difficult and painful for us. They're hard. They don't come about pleasantly, usually, but they do come about regardless if they're pleasant or not. But those things are what make us beautiful. And I'm learning in my life to not run from them, to realize that, hey, they are what they are. They're there. And that the last line of this poem, or the last few lines, that the land turns his face to see her, and he looks at her scars and shadows and wounds. He sees all of that, but what he sees isn't wounds and scars. He sees stillness and beauty, and as he sees those, he understands what can be. That stillness and that beauty is also for him and for her, for me and for you. Those wounds and scars and shadows that we have, those make us us, and they are beautiful. Some people will reject us because of them, but those are just people that aren't our people, I think. And there are people who do recognize the stillness and the beauty that we each have that comes about, whether they realize that it's scars and wounds and so forth. They see the beauty in the stillness. So that is my message to share today with my poem Moab. That is not in my book, actually. That's in my forthcoming book that I'm working on. Anyway, as you go forward today or whenever you watch this, I hope you remember that regardless of your wounds and scars, regardless of the shadows that you carry, you can have stillness, and you can have beauty, and you are beautiful. And thank you for listening. And till next time, thank you.